Guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you for stopping by, taking your time. You are awesome and you know it. Everyone who's new, my name is Alexei from Welovesamples. Welcome on board. Thank you for taking your time as well. Okay, dokie. So today is maybe an interesting video, and I would like to talk about different plugins and show you some tools that I use or do have in my palette. I want to split up the video in three different chapters. And the first one is I will show you the plugins that I do have and I do use very, very often. So most of the time in almost every single production that I run. Part two or chapter two, I will show you or mention the plugins that I use and the companies that I do have and yeah, that I like as well, but it's basically an add-on. So it's not that I use them in every single production. This is what I just basically hide in the background as an option. However, I still use some of these tools depending on the situation. So yeah, this is just a mention basically. And chapter 3 is I would like to show you bundles or kind of like tools if I would start with music production. Let's say I really started with music production, and this is what I would say to myself at like let's say the first months when I got into music production. It's pretty exactly or now even more, so more than 10 years. So basically this whole channel, right, is made, or I really thought about what should I like do on this channel, what kind of things I should show, because I switch a lot of topics here and there. Still, I'm kind of in the music and audio production field. However, this channel is basically made with the intention that I tell myself when I was like 10 years younger, right? So now I'm almost 30. So let's say I was 20, and this is what I would say to myself when I was 20. So obviously I made a lot of mistakes. I gained experience and I run a lot of productions. I know what works. I know what doesn't work, for me at least. And this is what I would like to share on this channel. If you're excited and you want to know more about this, already have some videos out. If you are interested, watch those videos and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'm really glad to get back to you and answer them when I have the time. Okay, cool. Plugin number one that I really like to use a lot on the master channel, on the master fader, on the master output, you call it what you call it, is the tool that is called ADPTR from Audio Systems. And this plugin is basically giving you insights in your audio waveform. So you can compare between the track that you're mixing against, so your reference track. You can target your LUFS, so the loudness of your output. Basically, you have like the correlation meter, you have stereo image, you have the dynamics, you have the analyzer spectrum, etc., etc. So this plugin, when I saw the first time when I saw it, I knew it was like an instant buy because it saves you a lot of time. And yeah, so there are similar tools from Isotope that I use as well, but I think that this plugin really summarizes the best tools inside this one single plugin, and gives you everything that is needed in order to have this perfect track that you are working on. By the way, every single tool that I will share today is not affiliate. So I'm not paid to show you something. It's really just, as I said, I'm talking to myself when I was 20 years of age, and I don't want to like sell you something. I don't want to tell that this company is better than this. It's just basically an open conversation. If you have tools that you like, you can share them as well on this channel in the comment section. So I'm as well super excited. There are a lot of tools. We know it. There are a lot of tools out there, a lot of plugins. We can't have them all. It's not really necessary. Otherwise, we wouldn't do music or audio at some point if you're just looking what exists out there. However, as I said, like this video is really about summarizing what tools I personally use and like and want to share with you. Tool number 2, BX console from Brainworks. It's a NIF channel, and yeah, so basically you have a digital replica of your analog NIF channel. Actually, I never saw a NIF in front of me in the real life, so not a real NIF console in front of me, which is a pity, but maybe at some point I will run across. I worked on the SSL duality. It wasn't like an E or G console, but yeah, I mean, if you can have those type of experience in the real world, it's a great yeah, feeling, and you hear really the difference between the channels, between the EQ, between the compressor, between the input gain, etc., etc. So I believe it's one of the most important tools in my toolbox. I like the color that it gives me. I like the compressor. I like the limiter. The limiter is really great. If you're just limiting like 3, 4, 5 dB or something, it has a great color, and I really do like this tool. Check it out on Plugin Alliance. Number 3, solid state logic SSL 4000 E, right? So SSL channel strip from the E console. It's basically the sister console from the NIF, as well from Brainworks Plugin Alliance. The same thing. I mean, I worked on an SSL duality, I said before, and it's a great experience. When you drive, you know, when you go into the input of the console, like guitar, drums, voice, and you start to turn the knobs, and you start to hear the color, you start to hear the EQ, and everything that is connected to the circle in the what is happening inside the console. It's just yeah, I mean, you just have to do it. It's really hard to describe, but when you start to hear the changes in the sound, how compact it becomes, how musical it basically is. The same with the NIF console. I mean, it's a great tool, and I think the cool option that I could definitely mention here is that you have as well in the E and in the NIF console, you have 72 different types of channels. So they simulated 72 different channels, and you have the option to use basically 72 different channels, which is amazing. So definitely a recommendation from my side. Tool number 4, denoise from Isotope. It's a very important plugin for me personally. Why? Because, for example, right now I have actually like I'm sitting in the living room, and so my home studio is built in the living room. I will do another separate video about that. So I don't have a lot of treatment in the room. I don't really need it. However, when I like record something, I still hear obviously a little bit of the room, a little bit of the reverb. So this tool, this voice denoise, you can use it on the voice, you can use it on music or other sound design type of things. It reduces the the tail of the reverb basically from your room, and it's very very important for me. So this right now, this setting that I use right now for this setup is that I have the reduction at around 2 decibels, and the threshold is at 0, so nothing happens. And obviously you can run this adaptive mode, so it basically is on automatic mode. Works pretty well and sounds really natural. When you go like beyond what is like on this picture, so 12 dB, 10 dB and above, it will sound really really dry, and sometimes you can use those type of things like when you record your voice or acoustic guitar, for example, in your room. So you can definitely reduce this room sound. However, it can still become very unnatural, so you just have to try it out for yourself what works. I know that for this setting right now, I don't change a lot of things. I will do as well another video about like my setup for YouTube. If you're interested in about that, let me know. But it was definitely one of my yeah, video goals that I wanted to do in the future. So I really try to work with presets that I construct for myself and use them throughout, so everything is constant. So the sound is constantly running. Everything is smooth, and you know, when you switch the videos in my channel, you know that you don't have to turn up or down the output volume, and this is definitely, yeah, one tool that helps me to do that. Check it out. Drawer S73 from Softtube. I personally am not right now sure if it's still this. This is the small version. They have a bigger brother, basically. I'm not sure if this tool is still split on 3 different uh, areas, basically from like dynamic compression. So you have 3 different areas where the compressor is acting. So in the lower end, in the mids, and in the high end. Not sure if this is really here the case. I have to look at the PDF. But I think it's not really important. Important thing is this tool is perfect on on the summing channels. So on the master channel, on maybe the drum bass channel, on voice as well. So you can use this tool as kind of a summing plugin for your channels that you want to sum basically into one bigger part. I would say like that. You have different styles. You can add this air, so you switch it on, and you have a little bit more air in the on the output. I really like to set, as you see, the mix at 50%. The amount stays around as well 50%, and then the first time when I started to use, I was a lot of using a lot of like this clarity 1, clarity 2, neutral a lot of times. But then at some point, I understood that the best thing for this tool for me that worked the best way was to choose the gentle compression. So really to compress maybe around zero point 0.5 or 1 dB, and that's it. So basically the peaks, and that's it. And this tool really sums up the signal really, really in a great way, very, very musical, and it becomes really compact. Check it out. I mean, it's not a lot of money that they ask for. Should be around like 49 euros, I think. But it definitely a tool that I use a lot in my productions. Yeah, now FabFilter Pro Q3. I think this is like, I can imagine that this tool is the most downloaded EQ out there that people know. And obviously, I have to show you. If you don't have it, I think it's from, if like we take three plugins that I would suggest you to buy, this would be definitely under the top three without a question. The cool thing about this EQ is that you don't need actually another EQ. So you can sculpt the sound, you can go really crazy, you can eliminate the resonances, you can find them pretty quickly with the headphone sign. You can have a lot of bands. You can use this tool as a passive EQ, basically. So really an kind of an analog style EQ, because you have it's right now set at 0 latency, so it's very very neutral, basically. So super clean, digital kind of, but you can use it as a natural phase, etc. So it's a really great EQ, very very clean. And the cool thing, it's a combination as well with a dynamic feature. What I personally think it's really really important to have this feature inside an EQ, especially this type of EQ. And I would like to tell you a short story about that, because actually, Fabfilter, they come from Netherlands. I remember I had the Q2, and then they released the Q3, and they hadn't like put the dynamic feature inside. And I was one of those guys. There were like 5 or 6 people I remember in the forum, because they do have the forum on their website, where you can ask questions, get feedback, or give feedback. And I wrote with other guys. I said like, look, first of that, there were two things. First of all, they wanted for the update like the same price as I would buy the new plugin, right? So as a new customer, which was really really strange. And the second thing is they didn't have this dynamic feature, and other tools already had that. So other EQs had that, and I said, guys, you have an Fabfilter multi-band compressor like the MB, I think it's 2, and they said that it's not necessary because they have this tool, but I just had this plugin from Fabfilter. I don't have the whole bundle. And I said that obviously for new customers who don't want to buy the whole bundle, they would like to have this feature. And it's not very like difficult to implement, right? Takes them, I don't know, a couple of weekends to put in the code, right, and put out this feature, and everyone would be happy. And especially the price, not paying like the full price again for the plugin that you already bought. And some people already had like the first version, obviously. So I started to use the second version, but some people already had the first version. And this is the third version, and you don't want to buy every single time the same tool over and over again. It's okay to pay for the update or upgrade, which is obviously important, so the company can, still pay the bills and pay the software developers, which is like should be clear for everyone and understandable. But I said it's disappointing at this stage. And what do you think? Yeah, a couple of weeks later, they add this feature, and we, with the guys, we celebrated that because they heard. And this is important. So it's very important from the point of view of the company that they as well hear what customers actually say, what they would like to have, and they try to basically. You can't obviously satisfy like everyone, right, on this planet, but when people say, "Hey, it would be amazing, this feature, and it would be fair to have," yeah. So they added this feature, and they reduced the price for customers. that already bought their tools, and it was a perfect update. So definitely check it out if you don't have this tool. It's a beautiful EQ. I can definitely recommend it. Now you will ask, like, what is this Mixtool? I think it's as a mixing engineer, I would say like it's probably in the top 3 plugins that I will give you as a recommendation, or will tell myself like when I got started. Mixtool is basically a fader on your channel, and so I don't have to use the real fader. I can automate this gain knob basically, and that's it. This is what happens there. Why? Because I believe that music and audio is like the most important thing is to balance the instruments and the signals out. So if you have a track, you have your instrumental and you have a voice over it, you want to implement this voice into the production, and there is basically no way. You can use, of course, EQs, you can use compressors, but at the end of the day, you want to create something that is sounds musical and sounds natural, and have this the impact at some moments where you want to have it. And just using a gain plugin, you can do it, and I do it all the time with every single production that I run, because a mix is not a static product. It's always changing. The frequencies are changing, the dynamics are changing, the panorama's changing, everything is changing. So you have to basically compensate, and this tool is very, very important. So if you have a DAW that is not Studio One that I use, but for example Logic or Pro Tools, whatever you use, definitely have a gain plugin as the first plugin in your not the first, depending on the situation, but to be safe, use it as the latest plugin on your chain, and use really to automate the signals. This is definitely very, very important. Another very important plugin, but seems very boring. It is, yes, but it's super, super handy and definitely helps you to make better mixes. So it's called Manipulator. I don't remember what the company is. I'm not sure right now, but I will put the link below so you can check it out. Basically, it's a tool that first you can, so you have, this is where you put it on your, this plugin you put on the master channel, okay? And when you switch on this mono, right? So your mix from stereo left and right sums up into mono, and you can check your mix in mono. So you can hear the balances even better, you can do EQ, you can do compression, you can hear a lot of things much, much better than hearing in stereo. This is definitely important, why I use it. And the cool features as well is you can flip left and right. Sometimes maybe you have signals that you would just like to turn, into the other direction. And sometimes it can happen that your polarity, so how your microphones were recorded, or the signals were recorded through the microphones, sometimes maybe it's cool to check out if the polarity is right or wrong, depending if you are using a lot of live instruments that you recorded, drums, for example. So this is definitely a cool free plugin. Doesn't cost anything, so check it out. Okie dokie. So the next one is Raum. I already had it in one of my sessions, but I think it's a very, very good reverb plugin. It definitely sounds amazing. I don't know. I just liked it from the first day that I downloaded it. It's from Native Instruments. I think it costs money right now, but if you have the whole bundle, the Native Instruments bundle, then definitely it's inside. And yeah, I mean, you have a lot of different presets. You have a lot of different ways how you can treat the reverb, basically. You can use it actually as a delay as well. So I really like this reverb plugin. There is nothing actually to say here at this point. Try it out if you haven't already and use it. Be creative with it. You can do a lot of different things and you will be happy, I think. Another native instruments plugin called Replica XT. There was a small brother or small sister years ago, Replica, and now they changed it to XT. Obviously, it's already some years on the market, but still, I think that from the delay plugins that I do have, there are obviously tons of different plugins out there, delays, reverbs, compressors, EQs, and whatnot. I think that this plugin is totally enough in order to create different types of situations with your imaginations, how you use delay. You can use it on vocals, you can use it on guitars, you can even use it on drums. You can experiment a lot. You have different presets. You have like as well this how do you call it? This older type of delays, so tape delays type of sounds. So it's really a great tool. I mean, the CPU is pretty high, yes, but I mean, how many of those you will use in a session? I don't know, a couple of instances, and usually a computer should handle that. And if not, then you can just print the track and yeah, insert another Replica XT and have a lot of fun. As you see, I became a Native Instruments fan. No, but I think that some of their tools are still, until this day, underrated. Definitely. I don't know why, but if you really check out the tools that they do have, and maybe you have this Native Instruments bundle, it's definitely worth to look more in depth what they offer. Superchargers, for example, a compressor that I never used actually. I used the first supercharger, so the small brother, years ago, a couple of times, but I don't know. But it wasn't like this. Ooh, I don't know. So there was not this wow effect. But when this charger GT came around, and I checked out some presets, I checked out some different situations that I just came across with drums, especially as well, but on the summing mix of the bass channel, but as well on synth. Definitely, you can use on synth channel as well. It's amazing. I don't know why, but it's a great tool that I really use a lot today. So yeah, I just wanted to share it and check it out if you haven't already. Good, good, good. So the next one is again from Softtube and it's called Tape. This one was kind of a must-have tool for me. Why? Because I don't have like external summing devices. For example, like the Sneef 8816, this summing rack costs a lot of money, definitely. But I once I had like the possibility to check it out, and it was amazing. But when I came across this tape, so when Softtube released the tape, it was an instant buy because I wanted to have a tool that gives me like this natural feeling for the mix. Because today we work most of the time in the box, and a lot of as well like older engineers from the 80s 90s where they still had a lot of like tape machines and the real consoles. They moved inside the computer, so in the box. For example, Andrew Sheps is one of the guys who is like telling everyone that he is only like inside the computer, and everything else is just for the clients. Okay, so if you have like a lot of different, I don't know, tube tech or I don't know 1176, it's only for the clients. So he really doesn't use them anymore, as far as I heard or understood from him. So this tool was very, very important because, tape, the real tape machine, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time that you have to invest because you have like the tapes, you have to buy them, you have to check that the tape is running smoothly. So there are a lot of things connected. And yeah, so it was an instant buy. You have three different types. So three different types of tape simulations. You can change the speed, you can change the amount, how hard you drive this tape. It's definitely on my summing channel, so on my master channel, or summing bus for the mix. And yeah, a really beautiful tool. Yes, track spacer way from Waves Factory. When I first came across this tool, I first was like, I mean, I have FabFilter, the Pro Q3 that I showed you before. I wasn't sure if I need this tool, and then I understood what actually this tool is doing. So what is this tool doing? You imagine that you have your FabFilter, okay? And you have, for example, a guitar, okay? And you have a vocal channel. So you have a guitar and a vocal channel. And you put this track spacer or fab filter, so we understand. We put the fab filter on the guitar channel, okay? And then at some point you realize that your voice and your guitar are playing in some of the parts at the same frequency, or in this same frequency range. Let's say like 250 hertz, for example, okay? And so when the voice is singing, you want to dip the guitar a little bit down, a couple of dBs. So what you can do with the fab filter, you can assign the band, go from the input from the voice, basically, right? So you send the voice into the fab filter of the guitar channel, and you dip down the 250 hertz area. Cool, you think. It's cool, definitely. But what does this tool do is you can select actually all the bands, so all the frequency spectrum, and every time when the voice does sing and the guitar channel where this track spacer is basically on, it dips down every single frequency that the voice represents on this tool. So, I mean, a lot of different bell filters as the dynamic EQ feature, and when you really set the right amount with this tool, your mix becomes, or like the correlation between the voice or the guitar in this example, the whole mix, so everything that you hear becomes more clear and clean, right? And more basically like what you expect from a good mix. So this tool is definitely now on my list. Not in every mix, depending on the situations, because sometimes you really don't need it. You still want to have this natural kind of feeling where you sum up the signals, because if you use a lot of compressors, right, or the tape machine. So yeah, not every time I use it, but a lot of times definitely, especially when vocals come, it's really, really important. Check it out. Okay, and the last tool is the Vertigo VSC2 from Plugin Alliance again. I had a colleague who said, yeah, this tool is so many years old, blah, blah, blah. There are much better compressors or whatnot. Basically, it's kind of a SSL kind of a compressor. So you would meet those VCA's compressor on the SSL channels. But I think like from the point of view when you really hear the difference when you tame down like 2 sometimes 4 dB of a signal, and I use it a lot on the mix. uh, I don't know, but I think that the sound and how compact the mix becomes, it becomes just much more professional, what I would like to hear in my ears. And this is the perfect compressor for that, definitely, in my ears. And the cool feature here that I definitely use is, as you see, that I filter out the low frequencies. So meaning that so the compressor only compresses after above 90 hertz in this example here. So when when you squeeze down the mix a little bit, not like too much, right? But 2 4 dB, depending on the type of mix that you're doing. But the compressor only acts from the high frequencies, so it becomes really not this super squash where you squeeze the low end and the mix becomes super small and tiny. No, you still have a lot of punch in the low end because you leave the low frequencies alone and just compress the higher end, so the mid frequencies and the higher end. And I think it's a really great compressor for this scenario. Check it out. Okay, so this was part 1 that I wanted to share with you. So every single plugin you now know that I use and I like, and I just want to recommend. And now I would like to mention plugins that I as well have and use, but I don't use them a lot, depending, but on the mix, right, or on the situation. So on my list is definitely Isotope. I have like not everything, but I have the whole mastering bundle. I have the whole mixing bundle. So there are definitely a lot of useful tools, but it's not that I use it every single time. Here and there, definitely a great company. They do a lot of great plugins, and I think that yeah, if I would recommend to just buy one single bundle for mixing or mastering, Isotope would be definitely on in the top 3. Valhalla for reverbs and delays, amazing company. What I like about this company is that you can buy every single plugin for just $50, and yeah, I think they don't offer the whole bundle, so you can't buy everything. So you have to pay really for every single $50. But I think that if you just like one single tool, reverb or delay, you can have it. Then Tokyo Down Records, especially the Kotelnikov GE. I have it, and it's one of the tools that like opened my eyes when it came to mastering. I said in one of the videos before, I don't master music. I can master music. I master my own music depending on where I release it or when I put it to whom I send it. But when I would like so when I came across this Kotelnikov GE, it opened my ears and my eyes what actually mastering is and how far mastering engineers actually go. And it's a beautiful, definitely beautiful tool. And the cool thing about their company is that the tools doesn't cost actually as much as other companies ask you to pay for, right? Because this is one thing that I probably can put it here as my personal opinion. I think that it's, of course, everyone has to make money, and you know, if you have a product, you want to sell it, etc., etc. This is clear, but I know that there was a discussion about it can't be that, for example, you pay for a DAW, right? So, for example, Studio One or Logic, you pay a couple of $100, right? So 200, 300, 400, 500, let's say 500, and this is the limit. And you get basically everything. You can do music, you can have a lot of plugins and tools inside, and basically you don't have to buy anything anymore. It's enough already, because you don't have the time to go through all the tools. You can't learn everything in like in a month, right? So this is clear. But when other companies, when they release like a compressor, and this compressor costs as much as a DAW costs, I personally don't understand it, because it's just a digital product that they copy 1 million times if they need to, and they sell it 1 million times, and they made like $20 million, right? With just one single compressor. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a critique here, but I think that when they switch to this model where you pay for this monthly fees, so when you basically have this license to use the tools for a month, 2, or a year, I think it's a great option, because you don't have to put a lot of money in front of the table. So yeah, I know that this discussion was definitely online, and I, yeah, I think they somehow turn it, but I really, uh, even if you do something like professional, you still have to understand that you pay someone $300 for just one single plugin. Is it necessary? I don't know. You decide it yourself. But every time when I buy something, I really try to understand, is it really a plugin that I don't have in my toolbox? Because I showed you a lot of plugins that are kind of similar, but they are not. However, there are a lot of similar plugins, so I don't have to buy a copy of a copy of a copy that I already have, right? So today, the way that I look for on these deals, I really try to understand: do I have those tools in my box, or do I need them? Or yeah, I think you understand it. So I'm not someone who is like, oh, I see this deal, I have to buy it. No, those days are definitely over. I know how much time and money you can spend on those tools. And if this would be a recommendation for me 10 years ago, which I will do talk in the last part, where I give you an example what you can definitely buy today if you start today. This would be definitely the best option, and you can use it for probably the rest of your life. Okay, so the next tool is SynchroArt's Vocal Align. So Vocal Align is called from SynchroArt. It's a very great tool when you're working with vocals, when you're working with guitars, instruments that you would like to layer. So you recorded your voice and recorded the second time. So basically your copy or add-on, and you can sync them, so everything is basically smooth. So the phase between the two tracks is more or less perfect, and the voice became like more kind of fat, and like what you usually wouldn't obviously have if you just have one single voice. So you combine 2 or 3 or sometimes 4, depending what techniques you use. But it's a really great tool if you want to sum up a lot of tracks together into one. And of course, when we talk about vocals, Melodyne. So yeah, if voice is somewhere present, Melodyne is definitely the tool that I'm looking for instantly, because nobody is perfect in pitch, nobody is perfect in the timing and the rhythm. So you can do a lot of great things inside Melodyne. So definitely check it out if you don't have it already. Okay, so and now we come to the last part, the last chapter of this video, and this is something that I would tell you when you start with music production. So when you have this question, what should I buy? Like, if I would want to start with this music production journey. I would like to produce music. I would like to mix, master, etc. So I think the first tool is without a question the complete bundle from Native Instruments. They already have different collections. I do have the collector's edition, so where you have all those uh, plugins and sample libraries, etc. And when you buy it once, right? So now it's 1,600 euros. So it became obviously much more expensive than it used to be. I think I started with eight, and it costs 600. It was around 600 euros. Uh, I think 9 years ago, and so obviously every single update you have to pay again, which is fine because they add a lot of useful sample libraries and tools. So yeah, definitely must have if you have to. You want to start with making music. And on the mixing side, I would definitely say that every single plugin that I showed you before, this is obviously that I bought over the years and use. Uh, I mean, I said it before, but if I would start the journey again, I would definitely consider to get this total bundle from FabFilter. Why? Because you have everything that you need. You have the reverb, you have the limiter, you have the multiband compressor, you have the Pro Q3 that I showed you before, you have the single compressor, so the normal compressor, you have the de-esser, so basically the compressor, but only reacts on specific frequencies. Then you have gate and expander that is already inside the SSL channel, for example, right? Or the Neve, I think, as well, but I don't use it there. Saturn is a distortion saturation plugin. You have a synthesizer, you have a filter plugin, you have a simple synthesizer, you have a basic filter, so you can use different filter forms, and you have a mini filter plugin. So if I would start the journey again, I would definitely consider to get this bundle because you don't need actually anything else. I mean, the of course the possibilities are endless, and there are a lot of different plugins out there. However, I showed you like I have how many? I don't know how many I counted there. Let's say 12 or 14, and that's it. How much time and how much music I made over the years, and I came to this 14 plugins. That's it. You don't need more, and you still can do a lot of great things with those plugins. And two things that I would like to do as a bonus. It's one thing that I would like to have for myself. I definitely consider it's again from Softtube. Softtube is basically one of my favorite developers, definitely, and they do have this TubeTech bundle. I actually had this passive type of TubeTech in my palette from Waves, and I don't remember the other company, but the problem with Waves that I had is that they at some point changed the way that they wanted to do this updates and upgrades with their Waves bundle. And so I had Waves, but I don't know. I just said that I don't need those thousands of plugins anymore. I don't want to pay every single year for them or every second year. So I just left Waves, although they have really great tools out there. But I said I don't need it. I don't need it because I have all the tools that I have, and they come to the result that I want, because it's basically not about the plugins. It's about myself, how I use them. Do I know how to use them, right? So this is basically my opinion about those type of tools. And the last one that I as well consider is from Relab Development, the complete bundle, the LX 480. It's, I mean, basically the most important reverb plugin that you can have in your palette. Native Instruments does have it, the RC24 and 48. They sound actually amazing. So yeah, but with the real one, basically, because it's built like a real one, or develop on the real one, it has like even more things that you can, do with the reverb. And yeah, so you can have a free trial if you look basically for a bundle for only reverbs. This is like, if you do have this, you won. For music production, definitely you won. You when you put it on your channel, on your send, so reverb return channel, the sound is amazing. So definitely this is what I'm looking for in the future, and I'm super excited about it. Okay, guys, so that's it. This was my presentation of the tools and plugins that I do have today and that I wanted to share with you. And if you have anything that you would like to add, tools that you have that you're like, this is like the best tool that I have in my toolbox, definitely share it in the comments. I'm super excited to know what it is. As I said before, even if you're in this field, there are so many tools and there are so many great developers and companies. You can't have them all. You can't know everything, but like to still have, so many people in the circle and they throw something and you check it out and it was like, wow. So you of course, I understand like the hype behind tools, definitely. But to summarize, basically, I said it before, I became kind of a minimalist in this field. So I really try to understand, do I need this tool? Is it important for something that I do right now or not? And if like it's not sure, then I don't get it. I don't need it. Yeah. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you have still any questions. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see me and the channel again. And if you want a little bit more help, download my ebook that is called The Proven Guide to Conquer Your Music Productions from Now On. You join my private Facebook group. If you have any more questions, you can get there and ask me there. I'm glad to help you out. Thank you again for taking your time. You're awesome, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Have a beautiful day. Swag on over, little boy. Swag on over, little boy. Swag on over, little boy. Swag on over.